Hey, ioStux here. I thought it's been a while since I uploaded one of my coaching sessions, so here I am doing another one. One explanation at the end was a bit convoluted, so I hope you understood everything. If not, just write a comment and I'll get to you. Also, if you want to get coached too, now would be the best time. I have a Christmas sale with some pretty fat discounts, so if you want to get yourself to the next level, check out ioStux.com. Okay, so let's have a look at your beautiful VOD, Trace Random Barney. Okay, so what were you focusing on during this VOD? Or like, when you were playing yesterday, what went through your mind? What did you want to get good at?
Well, yesterday I was more putting into practice what we discussed it on the last session, like who to focus and what routes to take, to be more effective. And I managed to do that in a lot of matches. That's why I almost got to Diamond.
Okay.
But there was some matches like this one that I got really confused. Like at the start I was doing shit. I was doing nothing for the team at the first, the first couple minutes. And when we were almost losing without even capturing the first point, I got a good stick on the Symmetra teleport and then we managed to get in. But my doubt on this VOD is when I don't have any really clear target, I don't know, a McCree that's out of position, or a Zarya that's just running through my team, or a Reinhardt. Who should I focus? What should I do? You know, because there was such a mess. They had Mei, they had Symmetra, they had so many lasers and beams and stuff going on that I was a little confused.
Okay, we will go over those beams in a second when it actually happens, but I think we talked about this last time, about the kind of two fundamental questions you need to ask yourself in terms of target priority. Okay, and that's also why I sent you that picture of the actually, I think I can show that on the video so that people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Otherwise it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Okay, there we go. This is the picture that I'm talking about. Okay, so that's kind of the general guideline for your target priority. Now, the two fundamental questions that you need to ask yourself as a flanker, and this is, again, very basic information. The first question is always, what can I kill the fastest, right? As Tracer, you're kind of there to apply pressure, but you should still always ask yourself the question, okay, is there anyone I can actually assassinate? Is there any way that I can create a numbers advantage for my team? Okay, and now in this game, for example, as you mentioned, you just couldn't find anyone. You couldn't find anyone who I would have marked as green on this chart. You couldn't find anyone that's very easy to kill, right? Now, in situations like this, the answer to the first question, is there anyone I can easily kill, is just no by default. That's just what the enemy team com is. However, that doesn't mean that you don't have to play Tracer. It means you need to change your playstyle, right? So there are two different Tracer playstyles, okay? So, and I like to call them the Surefour playstyle and the Dante playstyle, because in my opinion, those really represent these playstyles. So we have the Surefour playstyle, okay? And Surefour playstyle is super assassin-y, okay? So that's the playstyle you would use when you have a lot of targets that would be marked as green. Okay, so if the enemies have, Torb, Ana, Zenyatta, you would jump on them and you would kill them. Now, the reason Surefour likes this playstyle most of the time is because he's, very mechanically talented, which means that he can confirm these kills very often. Dante, on the other hand, he has a different playstyle, where obviously if he gets an opportunity to actually go and assassinate someone, he goes for that opportunity. Okay, but he doesn't default to this kind of playstyle. His playstyle is more ultimate oriented, where he focuses less on getting picks, but he wants to be more consistent. He doesn't want to rely on actually one-trick clipping people, but he is kind of a tank bully, right? Where instead of looking for targets he can assassinate, he asks himself the second question: who on the enemy team is going to give me the most ult charge? Okay, and that is kind of the question that you need to ask yourself in this situation here. So in this gameplay, you were really going for this kind of Surefour playstyle where you were trying to assassinate people, and it obviously didn't work, and you need to realize, okay, it's not going to work. I need to play more like Dante. I just need to focus on getting my pulse bump. And that's also one of the main issues, and again, I'll show you this in a second, in this VOD specific, where you were forcing this Surefour playstyle so often that you just ended up dying most of the time. And dying is obviously the exact opposite of the Dante playstyle. Okay, the Dante playstyle is all about getting your ultimates as quickly as possible. That's all you want in that playstyle, right? But the problem is, if you keep dying, you're obviously not gonna get your ultimate. Okay. So in some situations, okay, and this is something that I tell most people, like the two most important words you need to learn if you actually want to become good is fuck it. Okay, you just need to tell yourself when you're chasing a Symmetra for 20 minutes, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna go for something else. It doesn't work. Okay, you need to realize when something doesn't work. Okay, And that's what improving is all about. It's less about sticking with things that actually work. It's more about, trying to figure out and experimenting. Hey, this doesn't work. Maybe you should try something else. So in this case, you were trying really hard to go for picks. Maybe that doesn't work. Okay. And Numbani is a very transparent map, which means the default strategy you have is basically always the same, to be honest. You want to take control of the high ground behind, not the high ground necessarily, but just like the area behind the point, where the Symmetra always places her teleporter. Because if you have control of that area, you're applying a lot of pressure, and if you can't get kills, pressure is the second best thing you can do. So this rollout right here at the start, I have no idea where you're taking this route. I actually don't. Like, you don't have to. You could have just gone straight through the middle and saved yourself a little bit of time. Okay, but whatever, it's okay. You for some reason you wanted to go on top of that balcony. Okay, now this flank route again, it's fine, but the flank route going under. Okay, so if you would go into this building to the right, again, that's a little bit shorter. And whenever you're playing Tracer, and this is mainly applicable to King of the Hill maps, your blinks are, the main reason for your blinks is so that you can put yourself into a position where you have a different angle of attack compared to your team before the team fight even starts. Okay, and that's why you also want to prioritize routes that get you into those positions very quickly. So in this case, before your team even reaches, this high ground up here, for example, or the main choke, you already want to take control of that area behind the point. Okay. But now, your teammates, you're kind of engaging at the same time as your teammates, which is fine if you would be behind them. Okay. So now this is, again, something that just shows me that you don't really understand the plan here. Okay, your plan is to get behind the point as quickly as possible, but instead you're waiting. Okay, Tracer is not a character that should wait. Okay, you can see right now your teammates engaged before you. Okay, right now, where should you be?
Yeah, probably bullying that soldier on the high ground.
Exactly, you should probably be up here and bully the soldier. This soldier currently has an insane position. Okay, he has vision over everything. He is going to destroy your team, which and also killing him up there is very easy. Okay, because if we look at the way enemies move, okay, normally if an enemy is trying to dodge your shots, if he's standing directly in front of you, okay, he's going to strafe side to side. You know that. Okay, and that's obviously going to make it very, very hard for you to hit shots. Okay, but if you approach this soldier from the side, he is currently looking in this direction, which means that he's going to strafe left and right in order to dodge shots, which means that if you come from the side, it's going to be a lot easier for you to just one-shot him. And because your team is engaging, not only is his strafe towards your favor, his attention is also not towards you, which again makes it a lot easier to execute him. You probably could get to him without even blinking and he wouldn't notice. Okay, but because you don't put
question.
Sure.
Should I always, not always, but 90% of the time, 99% of the time, be at that spot behind?
Basically, yes.
Point?
I mean, in the first fight, yes, not 99%, 100%. I can't think of a situation where you wouldn't want to try to get into that position, to be honest. It is really good. Because another reason why this position is really good is because it gives you options. Okay, from this area, you can choose if you want to go to this high ground. You can choose if you want to go down these stairs here. You can choose if you want to go to this high ground. You can even choose if you want to go and drop on the point. Whatever you want to do, you can go anywhere. Okay, which is great because again it saves you a lot of time. Okay, and you also need to kind of put yourself into the enemy's kind of mindset, right? Because imagine you're defending this point. Think of the
beware.
Exactly. Think of the most annoying place a tracer could be. And I'm pretty sure if you try to defend this point and there's a tracer in this area behind there, people are going ape shit and voice chat. They're going to be like, tracer behind, da 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 da. And you're going to be really annoying, and that's what you want, right? It's not just about getting kills, it's about being annoying. You're supposed to be really, really pesky, okay? Now, we have already established that there's not really a great target for you to kill, okay? And especially with the Mercy, that kind of re-emphasizes that. So in a situation like this, you want to go for the target that's going to give you the most ult charge. And right here, you can see that towards the top right, there's a D.Va.
Yeah.
Okay, now, in situations like this, so ideally, again, you would have gone for the soldier. But the problem is, by the time you get to the soldier, you're probably, you know, the team fight is already going to be over unless you use your blinks, but then you don't have any blinks to actually fight the soldier. So in this situation, it would probably be best for you to just try and farm as much ult charge. Like, you already messed up. Like, this fight isn't going to lead to a win. Okay, so just focus the D.Va.
Yes, 10 seconds into the team fight, I was like, I had already this feeling, I don't know what I'm doing, and this is gonna end up
exactly
bad, you know?
That's why you need to know where you're going. That's important. Okay, so you focus targets, you go for the D.Va, which is good. Okay, all you want from this team fight is just to get your ult charge. But you're starting to swap targets a lot. Like, you know, you're first on the Lucio, then you're on the D.Va, then you go for the Mercy. And the problem is you manage to get 3 characters to like 50% HP. But that's not great, okay? You want to have target priority. Target priority is not just about which targets are best to prioritize, it's also about sticking with one target. And right here, you're not really sticking with one target. You're dealing damage. Don't get me wrong, you are dealing damage, but because it's so spread out, you're making it incredibly easy for the enemy healers to heal it, okay? And also, in terms of positioning, you as Tracer, fighting on the point can be very, very risky, especially since that soldier is still on the high ground, right?
Yeah.
So if you're putting yourself in a position like, okay, like right here, for example, you're basically surrounded by enemies, okay? Which again isn't great for you, okay? And that again makes target selection a lot harder, because if you don't see the enemies, you can't really know where to go for, okay?
Yeah.
Now, the next thing is, you need to know how Symmetra players think when they place their turrets. So Symmetra players tend to put their turrets at you know, places where the enemies are probably going to be. Okay, so in this case, mainly around the point, because that's where the fight is going to happen, and mainly around this area. Okay, and she likes to put them at very, very tight spaces where she thinks it's likely that the enemies are going to come from. And that tight area is this little room to the right here. Okay, so you just want to kind of stay clear on that area, and you want to go to places that are, you know, further back, because why would a Symmetra player, you know, place her turrets up here? Okay, she's not really going to get that much value unless the enemies dive there. Okay, and then, you know, that's not a 100% guarantee that that's going to happen. So yes, this team fight, all you need to do is just get ult charge. You already messed up. Okay, even if you would have gotten the pick on the Mercy, to be honest, I don't really think, you know, you could have gotten much out of this. It's kind of a mess. Okay, yes, you're just very confused. Honestly, like right now, all you really need to do is just focus on not dying. Like you just keep going in. Again, you're fighting on the middle of the point. Okay, you just need to realize, okay, boys, this fight is lost. Whatever, I messed up. Okay, you know, and just focus on getting ult charge. So like right about now, like the fact that you keep fighting. Look at the kill feed. Does this look like a fight you're going to win?
Yeah, definitely
Probably not. Okay. So you could have stayed alive, and the great thing is, because your teammates are respawning now, that gives you a window of opportunity, right? So you can't take the point alone. Anyways, you need to wait for them. So the most efficient use of your time here would be to stay alive, get into a good position, okay, when your teammates come. But because you position yourself on the middle of the point, obviously you end up dying, and now you're respawning with your teammates. So theoretically, if you would have stayed alive, by the time your teammates arrive, you could have control of this area back here with your pulse bomb. Okay. Now on the enemy team, who would you say is the best pulse bomb target?
The enemy team. Well, if I get to the soldier, maybe the soldier.
You don't really want to go for the soldier, because soldier is one of the few targets you can actually kill without pulse bomb. And B, good luck hitting him. Okay.
Yeah, or the teleporter, probably.
The teleporter, yes. Okay, but if she didn't have a teleporter?
Then I don't. Well, it would be risky, but maybe the Mercy if I can get
No.
without
Okay, so again, we need to go over the questions early. Okay, the first question you always need to ask yourself is, who can I kill the easiest? Okay, so when we're talking about pulse bomb, you need to think about, okay, what's going to give me the highest chance of success? You know, who can I stick that's going to actually land, right?
So it's probably Symmetra.
No, Symmetra is
D.Va. I can stick D.Va, but D.Va, like, it's in the mech.
D.Va is going to be the best target. Okay, now think why. This is actually something I explained to another coach here recently, but let's see if you can figure it out faster. Why is D.Va the best target to stick here? Okay, now again, obviously the teleporter is important, don't get me wrong, but the thing is, if you have the choice between sticking a teleporter and shooting a teleporter, you always want to shoot it, okay? You should only stick it if you really, really, really have to. Okay, now why is D.Va the best target for you to ult? Think. I want to give you a chance.
Okay. So, well, getting her out of mech is good because of the defense matrix that she won't have, but also she has a lot of mobility. So if she's like running away and you stick her and she end up close to
you don't give a shit about her
Mercy,
mobility.
that's probably gonna heal her.
You legit don't care about it. Okay, here's the thing. So there are multiple reasons why D.Va is the best target. Okay, reason number one is she is the easiest kill that you're gonna get, right? Like sticking a soldier, easy to miss. Sticking a Mercy, good luck. No offense, but you won't be able to stick the Mercy, okay? But D.Va, on the other hand, it's pretty easy, right? I mean, as long as you don't, pulse her defense matrix, pretty easy to stick. That's reason number one. Okay, so you stick her and then you need to obviously shoot a clip into her, but it should be pretty easy to demech. Now, reason number two, the enemies have a Mercy. What does that mean? What happens if you stick the soldier?
It's just gonna die and Mercy's gonna res him.
What happens if you get D.Va out of mech?
D.Va will be out of mech and Mercy can't do shit because she will be healing 150 HP.
Okay. So your optimal play would be to find the teleporter, destroy it without your pulse bomb, and then get D.Va out of the mech. That is how you can give your team the biggest advantage. Okay?
So, like in this situation, D.Va would be the best, of course. But like when I don't have any easier targets, I should always stick to D.Va. Like
you always have an easier target, to be honest. I mean, if you have the choice between Roadhog and D.Va, you would probably go for the D.Va. Okay. In general, even if you have the choice between Reinhardt and D.Va, you would probably still go for the D.Va. Unless Mercy doesn't have res, but that's not really something you want to assume. You always want to be of the assumption that Mercy has res. So yes, D.Va is a really, really, really good target to stick. And just go and watch some current high-level Tracer gameplay. Okay, you're gonna see that they prioritize it. Now, obviously, in some situations, sticking a Reinhardt is going to be better. Okay, but only if you know that, for one, the Mercy doesn't have res 100%, or if the enemies don't run a Mercy, if they run something different. Okay, in that case, you can stick a Reinhardt. That would probably be better. Because
what about positioning? Because now, like Mercy res now is not that simple. Like if she's trying to res someone who's really out of position, she ends up dying too. So if I have a Reinhardt that's like charging at my team, shouldn't it be?
Nah, because then you would just have to camp the corpse you just killed for like 10 seconds.
Okay. Like
you would end up wasting so much time. Like if you stick someone, you would usually need to go to a different target immediately. If you're just gonna camp the corpse so the Mercy can't res it, you're not really worth it, because at that point the reason you killed that target is to take him out of the fight. But if you need to camp his corpse so that the Mercy doesn't res it, you're out of the fight as well, so it's not really worth it. Okay, so that's the plan. Okay, let's see if that plan is actually going to get executed. Okay. Again, man, why do you like this route so much?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I really don't know.
This is something you need to keep in mind as Tracer. So in this situation, taking this route is the smartest, because if you take the round under, you're going to get cut
Symmetra.
into pieces by the Symmetra. Exactly. Okay. Normally, you would want to avoid taking the same flank route twice, because eventually the enemies are going to get behind it. Okay. But now, legit, you have 3 blinks. Okay, again, what's your plan? You want to get behind there. You want to see what's up. You want to get into that position first. Okay, you need to keep that in mind. Okay, positioning is an investment. You always want to get into a good position first, and then you're going to think about everything else. Okay, but here, you start going for the Symmetra, and the thing is, even if you get a pick on her, your Winston is already dead, right? Because you ended up dying, which means it took you way too long to get back here. Okay, so this is like already, not looking that great. So it would be much better if you would get into a good position, okay, and then try to do stuff from there. But instead you go and you try to fight the Symmetra. Now, in a fight with Symmetra, we need to use our brain a little. Okay, so and what we need to talk about is effective range, right? So imagine this chart. Okay. There we go. I don't know if green is whatever you can probably read. Okay, now this is time. No, this is distance, and this is damage. Okay.
Yeah.
Now a Symmetra, okay, she deals a certain amount of damage. Okay,
Yes.
but then after a certain distance, it drops down to 0. Okay, whereas Tracer's damage looks a lot more like, you know, this. Okay, where if she's very close, she can absolutely destroy people, but if she's far away, eventually she's not going to deal any damage anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, now you want to fight at a range where the difference between these two graphs is the largest. Okay, so if you're fighting, you know, in this range, for example, the distance is very, very, very small. Okay, which you obviously
I
don't
see
want.
where you're going.
Okay, and obviously, if imagine the Symmetra has a fully charged gun, okay, then it looks a little like this. Okay, so in that situation, you know, she's going to out DPS you a lot. Okay, so ideally, you want to fight as close to her effective range as possible, because at that point, you're basically going to deal an infinite amount more of damage than she can. Okay. But instead you run into her, which is understandable considering the homework I gave you last time. But obviously, you know, you need to kind of get used to regular playing again.
Yeah.
Okay, and now again, this is bad because now you have your pulse bomb, and the best way to take points like this is to stack up ultimates. Okay, so you have your ultimate now, your teammates are finally there, but you're dead again, which means you have 0 pressure. Okay? 0 pressure, and that's bad because you're making it very, very difficult for your teammates to do anything. And considering that not all of your teammates have their ultimates, they need to actually shoot the enemies in order to get their ultimates. Okay? Yeah. Look, your Winston just got a pick. Imagine you would be like on the high ground right now. How great that would be. Imagine if you could go and, you know, get the Diva out of mech. Maybe you could get the teleporter. Okay? Like right there. Bam. Do you see this?
Yeah.
This is your golden ticket. Legit, press W, press Q, she's dead, no problem. Okay, but instead you're like dancing, oh, I'm just gonna... Like, it's nice that you got the Mercy, don't get me wrong, Mercy is nice. It's really nice. Okay? But, you know, so for one, Diva can't get rezzed. Okay, but there's another thing. Diva also can't go to the teleporter, right?
Yeah.
So... Again, Mercy, what she's gonna do, she's gonna run through the teleporter and she'll be back again. Okay, Diva on the other hand, okay, as long as your teammates aren't going to kill her on accident, obviously, okay, she's gonna be useless. Okay, so that's an opportunity you missed, and obviously you stood on the point, which again is not that great. Okay,
yeah.
so
eventually I'll be in the correct area.
Eventually, yes, hopefully. Okay. But
that's
far,
how we get the point, actually.
So far, oh well, that explains a lot then. Okay, like you need to, you're not going into these games with a plan. Okay, maybe what you should do is just at the start of the game, just like launch some voice recording software. Okay, and just record your game plan. Right, like where do you actually want to stand? What is the position that you want to be in to actually take the point? Okay,
like
because
when I actually see the map that I'm going, right?
Yeah, obviously. You're not gonna go and like queue for competitive and you're gonna be like, yeah, you know, let's just hope this map, okay? So this is the first time you're actually in a, you know, somewhat decent position. Okay, now arguably, you know, you're kind of, again, wasting a little bit of time, but I think you heard the teleporter. Okay?
Yeah.
So you just want to go for the teleporter. Now in a situation like this, okay, again, why are you even skirmishing with her? You just want to get the teleporter. You don't need to skirmish with her and like waste recall and everything. Okay, so in this situation, using stick was the correct play. No question about it. You had to use stick, otherwise you wouldn't have gotten it. Ideally, okay, if you would have been, it would have been great if you could have gotten it without. But again, especially in these tight areas, it can actually be very, very difficult for a tracer to get it without pulse.
And I got lucky because Symmetra made a mistake.
Exactly. So Symmetra is dumb. Okay, whatever. And you actually get a pick, which is, you know, very, very, very good. Okay, and now you're shooting Diva, easy target, lots of ult charge, you're cleaning her up, okay, and now you're even staggering her. Okay, no, she's contesting point. Okay, this is a dumb Diva. This is a very dumb Diva, because right now her life is, you know, kind of worthless. Which means that there's no reason, okay, in this position, for you guys to kill her. You can just capture the point, and the Diva can do whatever. Okay, what a smart Diva would have done is she would have tried to stay on the point and stay alive for as long as possible to waste your time. But not this Diva. she's just gonna, you know, go and die. Which is, you know, unlucky. She probably just didn't think about it. Okay. So yes, this is like, honestly, you know, even after the res, there's no way that they can really take this back, because you just have such a huge numbers advantage, you're just gonna crush them again. So to be honest, all this is really doing is it's giving you moral charge. I mean, to be fair, you know, you guys also used ultimates, which probably wasn't necessary.
Like, it's platinum, so the enemies are also dumb.
I mean, well, you're platinum too, so it makes sense.
Yeah, but
what's this? What am I looking at? Of course! Look at the kill feed, please. You already have an advantage. You're already in like a 6v4. You don't need it. There are two things that can happen. Okay, either the enemies are gonna retake and all of a sudden it's like a 4v4, or you're going to get kills and all of a sudden it's like a 6v2 or something. Okay, now in the left situation, if it's a 4v4, you need to use your ultimate in order to create a numbers advantage again. In the right situation, you don't need to use your ultimate. Okay, so this is kind of like the Schrodinger's pulse bomb. Okay, so maybe before you decide to place your bets on whether the cat is going to be dead or alive, just open the box. Okay, you'll see if she's dead or alive. And in this case, it's the same thing. Okay, you use your ultimate while the box is unopened instead of just waiting until it's opened. Okay, and not only that, ideally, I get what you want to do. You want to get the momentum. You want to keep pushing in. You want, yada, yada, yada. I can get that. And that's correct. But you don't really want to do that while the enemies aren't, you know, really contesting. Like, you used it before you even had the point. Right now, you're pushing the card for free. Okay? Even though your pulse bomb didn't get a kill. And if your pulse bomb got a kill, you know, what would be the difference? You would still push the payload for free. Except that now you wouldn't have, you know, your ultimate. Okay? So save your ultimates for moments where it's actually gonna get a little frisky. So now is the time where the enemies could start contesting. Okay? Oh god, I clicked on the timeline. Unlucky. Okay, let's try to find that moment again. Whoops. I think it was like right here. Okay. So now, okay, if you would have your pulse bomb and you would use it, you could actually get a lot more push done and you could snowball really hard. Like right here, for example. Again, obviously you would need to hit the Mercy.
But there are so many of them.
Exactly, you know, you probably, like, the Lucio might have actually jumped in. Okay, especially during Streets phase, because this phase right now is actually very, very difficult for a Tracer to play, especially since we just saw that the Soldier was taking high ground control. Okay, that's obviously so hard to pause, whatever you know. Okay, so you're putting yourself. I just got a comment on my video about the noose. Oh god, people are dumb. Unlucky. Okay, so you need to think about your plan again, okay? So you're going for the D.Va, you're farming Pulse Bomb, which is nice, but if you didn't waste your Pulse Bomb earlier, you wouldn't have to farm it right now. And you could instead use that time to think more about, how am I going to win this game? And you already saw, this Soldier, he's going to be a huge problem.
Yeah, and he was like the diamond player on the stack, so...
Yeah, so, you know, he's the one you want to shut down, okay?
Yeah.
So again, it's nice. Like, this pick was fucking fantastic, to be honest. Like like the fact that the D.Va died there is insane, honestly. Like, it's I would be surprised if they would actually manage to, like, retake the payload here. I mean, it's possible, especially if you don't know how to go upstairs. Yeah. but you got it. Okay, like the fact that the D.Va died there was so bad. Not gonna lie, it was really, really bad. Okay.
Okay, quick question again. So if I like that play with the D.Va, I didn't have the pulse bomb, but if I find the D.Va in such a bad position and I have a pulse bomb, should I stick or should I just like kill her normally?
Is it a waste of pulse bomb? If you are alone, you should stick her.
Okay.
Yes, if you're alone. But since she was, like, you know, completely out there and your team was there as well, you probably should have just waited a little. Okay. Yeah. So yes, in a 1v1, in some situations, yes. Okay, or in most situations actually, but if your teammates are there, she's probably going to die. Okay, now this is important. We need to talk a little bit about the Tracer versus Soldier matchup. Okay, because it's actually one of the simpler matchups. So, Soldier's best bet against you is Biotic Field. That's how he can gain value, because it heals him. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to deny him this healing, and the best way to reduce the amount of healing he gets, and thus the amount of value he gets from his biotic field, and, you know, if he heals less, he's also going to get less ult charge, is by not dealing damage to him. Because if he's full HP, his biotic field is going to go into nothing, he's going to miss out on ult charge, he's going to miss out on value. So the general matchup as in Tracer versus Soldier is you want to jump on the Soldier and you just want to duel him. Okay? And then as soon as he uses his biotic field, you want to disengage. Okay. Ideally,
so to bait the biotic field.
Bait the biotic field. Ideally, you want to disengage without recall. If you have to use recall, you can do that. But ideally, you just want to break line of sight, you know, use that time to find a health pack maybe, and then re-engage him. Okay? Make sure that you don't get too close to him, because you don't want to get, you know, right-click melee, obviously. Okay? But it is a matchup that, you know, in my opinion, favors Tracer. Once the biotic field is out, a good Tracer is going to destroy a good Soldier, like if both play at the same level of skill. Okay, so this was, you know, really good. Like, he didn't even have Helix. Okay, but now because he has his healing field, you're gonna lose.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I always struggled with Soldier because I didn't like realize this about the biotic field. So
the more you know. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing, again, we need to think about pulse bombs. So it's the same thing here. I know that you want to keep momentum, but for one, this was a very risky pulse bomb to land because, you know, hitting soldiers is not as easy as hitting a diva, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, and you also aimed it way too high. Aim your pulse bomb lower, because if you aim it lower and it's going to miss, it's at least going to hit the ground near to him, and there's a chance that he might not be able to run out of it.
Yeah.
Especially if he's jumping. It was a panic pulse bomb. It was a panic pulse bomb.
100%.
You are currently pushing the card anyways. There's no value. If you miss the pulse bomb, you're gonna push the card. If you hit the pulse bomb, you're gonna push the card.
Yeah.
So what gives? And you know, he's just gonna out-sustain you. He even has a shields generator. Okay. So obviously that's not great. And the problem is because you used your pulse bomb. This would be a great time to farm up another pulse bomb, but you know, dead tracers can't farm, you know, farm pulse bombs. So every single time you die, and you've already died 4 times, those are times where you're putting yourself and thus your team at a huge ult disadvantage. Okay, so this is fine. You're kind of skirmishing with people. Okay, you're playing around the health pack, which is good. Your movement is still a little weird, like you're blinking very panicky still, I think. Okay, I don't know why the soldiers... Oh, holy hell. That was like a little weird. Like, you probably shouldn't have jumped in with like 50 HP, but whatever, it worked. Okay, this is very risky.
Yeah.
That's
why
the,
I go for the health pack. Like, as soon as I got down the stairs with this amount of health, I heard your voice in my head, like, why are you not full HP? And then I went to
that. Yes.
the health pack.
This is a so-called staircase of death. And this isn't just Overwatch specific, okay? These kind of staircases, this is a bad color, staircases that lead to a door are death. Because what's going to happen is you're going to walk down, your head is going to be at this level, but your body is already going to be here. Which means by the time you see the enemies, they're already firing their guns at you.
Yeah. Okay,
this staircase, suicide. Don't even try it, it's bad. I don't like it at all. It's much better to just drop out of the balcony. It's much, much safer. Okay, now, it's good that you go for the shield gen. Okay, fair point. Normally, if there wouldn't be a shield gen, it's much better when to just clear out the card. Like, as Tracer, your main job is always to, like, you just want to get the card moving forward. Not even as Tracer, as everyone. So if someone is contesting the card, you want to clear the card. And once you get that kill, you want to push your advantage. Okay? For, you know, very, very obvious reasons. Okay? Because here's the thing. Let's say you have an advantage. Let's say you're in a 6v5. 6v5. Okay? You have 2 options. Either you're going to play, and this is going to sound very convoluted, so I want you to like keep track of this, because this is, like, if you understand it, it's going to make sense, but it's going to be a little complicated. Okay? You have 2 different ways to play. You have a defensive way to play, and you have an offensive way to play. So let's look at our options in the defensive way. So there are 2 outcomes in the defensive way. We're going to be of the assumption that that everyone is at the same skill level. Okay? And in that situation, the outcomes that could happen are roughly 50-50. Either, okay, it's gonna end with a in a 6v5, because if you're playing defensive and you try to protect your teammates and you're successful in that, you're going to, you know, obviously remain in a 6v5. Now, that is obviously it's a very neutral outcome, right? Because it doesn't actually give you a great advantage, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is going to be neutral. Okay. Or what could happen is you would manage to fail and your teammate is going to die, which puts you into a 5v5. And that's obviously worse than what you were in before. A 5v5 is worse than a 6v5, okay? So these are your two possible outcomes if you play defensively. Now, if you play offensively, there are actually 4 different outcomes you can have, okay? So you still can either end up in a 6v5 or a 5v5, okay? Because either your teammate is going to die or he's going to survive, okay? Now, to be fair, his chances of survival in this case would be a little lower because you aren't protecting him, but not really by that much, okay? And then you obviously also have the option of creating a 6v4, if you manage to get a kill and your teammates survive, or a 5v4, okay? If you manage to, get your teammates Gucci, right? If you manage to, if you manage to get a kill, but your teammates end up dying. Okay, so let's go through this. Okay, so this option, this here would be yellow. This is the same thing that you ended up with. Okay, and this one is interesting. Okay, so now you might say that this is yellow. Okay, you would say that this is the same thing as 6v5 because you have a 1 numbers advantage, but that's not entirely true. Okay,
it depends also on if you're attacking or defending.
It doesn't really depend on that. It depends on team sizes. So in a 6v5, the advantage you have is 1/6. Okay, you have a 1 numbers advantage, and 1 is 1/6. Okay, so what is 1 divided by 6? Okay, so your advantage is like 16%. Okay, 16%. Now in a 5v4, okay, what's your advantage there? All of a sudden it's 20%. Okay, let's say you are in a 2v1. In a 2v1, you still have a numbers advantage of 1, but in this case, you would have a 50%. Okay, so the less people are alive, the same numbers advantage can actually have more value. Okay, so 5v4 is actually not yellow. Okay, it's not the same value. Oh god, this is going to be hard to delete. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, a 5v4 actually is a good outcome, right? Okay, now a 5v5, that's obviously a bad outcome, right? You don't really want the 5v5, and a 6v4, that's also a good outcome because it's better than being in a 6v5. Okay, yeah, probably, to be honest, yeah. Okay, so now let's have a look at our great circle. Okay, so this time, and you can already see where this is going. Okay, it looks a little like this. Okay, so we have a little bit of yellow here, we have a little bit of red here, and we have lots of green here. Now again, keep in mind, it's not like the chance of the first outcome is not necessarily 25%, and the chance of the green outcomes is not necessarily 50%. It's always slightly different based on the current ult economy, based on how you play compared to the enemy team. Okay, but roughly in terms of estimate, you have for 1, compared to playing defensively, you actually have a shot at getting a good outcome, which you wouldn't have if you would play defensively, and also the chance is pretty high actually. Okay, there's only a 25% chance that you're going to come up with something that's worse than before. Okay, so now looking at this, okay, which playstyle do you think is going to make more sense? Should you play defensively or offensively?
Offensively.
Offensively, okay. Now again, I know this looks like a lot of numbers, I can get that, okay, but this is so-called fundamental knowledge, which means that this isn't specific to Tracer, this isn't specific to DPS characters, this isn't even specific to Overwatch. The same logic applies in other competitive team games as well. You could go and play League of Legends, and roughly the same thing would also apply. Okay, obviously, there's some differences. If sometimes instead of pushing, you should go for Baron or something like this. Actually, not sometimes, most of the time, obviously. Okay, so there are slight differences, but in Overwatch, you don't really have Baron, at least not yet. So that's not really something you can do. Yeah. Okay. So wait. What did you do here? I went brain AFK. Not good. Okay, so obviously no one is pushing the card, and now this is a situation. On this last point, it's actually very hard for you to set yourself up in a good position. Like on the first point, it's very obvious because you can just go behind the point and you can destroy people behind the point, and that's all good. You can't really do that on this point. You can still, chill behind. Kind of the best area for you to chill around, in my opinion, would actually be around the small health pack here. Okay, that's kind of a good area for you to be in. Okay, so your game plan right now should be, oh, I need to stay alive. And I need to farm ult charge so that when my teammates come back, which they are doing right now, I can go. Because right now, look what your Moira did. Okay, she kamehameha'd the McCree, out of existence, which is great. So now you're in a 6v5. And as I just mentioned, in a 6v5, you want to push that advantage. You want to play offensively. But because you don't have your pulse bomb, that's obviously going to be a lot harder. Okay. But you jump for the Ana, which is nice. The only problem that I have is you get a little, super close. Okay, which again, these are the after effects of your homework last time, so you'll have to get used to it. But target selection in of itself, again, you need to think about who's the easiest target to kill. Now, in this case, it would probably be the Ana, because if you would go for the D.Va, she's just gonna get out-healed by the Ana. But there's another thing. But there's another thing you need to take into consideration, and that's your ulti. Okay, so the optimal play here, in my opinion, would be go for the Ana, try to kill her. Okay, ideally you would manage to kill her, and that should give you enough ult charge to then use your pulse bomb to kill the D.Va. Okay, so that would be your plan of attack. Okay, now your movement there was a little bit weird, which made tracking very difficult. Okay. Okay, yes, again, not like super optimal. Okay. This rotation here was very weird. Like you went to go to the left here, and that just cost you a lot of blinks. Like you used 2 blinks in that rotation. Imagine if, you could have done that here. And obviously another problem is you don't have your recall anymore. If you don't have your recall, you need to play defensively. So what you're doing here is you're positioning yourself on the middle of the street, okay? Again, one very, very fundamental rule of Overwatch. Okay, don't stand in the middle of the street. Again, this is not even Overwatch relevant. Like, this is real life relevant, man. Just don't stand on the streets. It's not smart. Okay, so you survived somehow. But again, not optimal. Okay, come on, go. Don't stick the Mercy. Again, maybe you could have hit her. Maybe. Okay. But the chance is very low. It's very low. You had a great opportunity to just go and stick the D.Va. Especially, look, the D.Va is sure, she's getting healed by the Mercy, but your teammates are also all focusing her. Okay? Or you could have gone for the Ana, who's not currently getting healed by the Mercy. Like, the Ana is a lot easier to stick than Mercy. But instead, you try to swat a fly, and it doesn't work. Okay, so that was obviously bad. You get destroyed because you're close, so you get helix rocketed. Again, man, we need to work on that pulse bomb target priority. You need to know what the plan is. Okay? It's not that, when you watch at pro gameplay, it tends to look very easy. They make it look very easy.
Yeah.
And that's not just because they're good. It's also because they know how to make the game easy. Right? They're also going for, targets that they're, for plays that are very, very likely to succeed. Okay. Now this, again, is obviously not very good. You don't want to stand on the middle of the street, especially without blinks. Okay, use this corner. Okay, try to play smart. Use your environment. Okay. And obviously, you don't really want to be here. You probably should have just taken these stairs earlier. Which, again, is just you not having a plan. You kind of just, flow. Now you're being very useful. Look at this. Why aren't you chasing? What? Come on, please! You want to get kills! Or, D.Va is like a kill 2.0 again because she can't get res. You have recall. Stop being such a pussy, man. Just go in. Just blink after her. And instead you go to the staircase of death again. Can you please not use it? It's so bad. Look, there were helix rockets were coming in as well. This is infuriating. Okay, so obviously unlucky. The Symmetra is smart. Those are actually some really, really good, very, very good turrets. Okay. But yeah, you probably should have recalled. Not really worth it. And again, If only this diva, if only she wouldn't be in her mech. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
That would be very, very nice. Actually, super, super nice. But hey, now we need to wait again. You're not farming your pulse bomb. You just need to like get so many more pulse bombs. But because you always get yourself into... That looked so brutal. Holy moly. Poor soldier. Okay. So yes, the problem is you're getting out ult economied. Okay? Because if you would charge your ultimates faster, your ultimates are very, very disruptive. Ideally, because if you farm your ultimates and you get a kill with it, you're essentially wasting like 15 seconds of that opponent's time. 15 to 20 seconds based on how long they need to, take to get back to the point. Okay? So that's obviously great, right? Ult economy is something very important. Okay, so for one, getting your pulse bump is good for your own ult economy and it allows you to win fights, and getting a kill on someone hinders their ult economy. But in this last team fight, if you look at the ultimates, your teammates didn't have anything. You were the only one who had something. Okay, Tracer is... I really don't like saying this because people will take it out of context. But Tracer, in a sense, is also kind of a support, I guess. Where her, she is, and this is why she's one of those, very, very strong carry characters. Because if you play a good Tracer, that doesn't just benefit you, it also benefits your team. Every single pick you get with your pulse bomb, for example, is going to get your team ahead and ahead and ahead in ultimates. And if your teammates have ultimates, okay, that means that they can win fights for you. And if they don't have ultimates, you can try and get a pick and give yourself an advantage. Okay, you're basically, okay, think about your strength in the game like this. Okay, so again, I'm gonna do a great graph. Wait, like this. Okay, so this is time. And this is the strength of the teams. Okay, so let's say the enemy strength looks a little like this. Okay, so sometimes the enemy team is strong and sometimes the enemy team is weak. Okay, yeah. And ideally the better they are, the more often they are strong. Okay, and now your team looks similar to this, just at a different pace essentially. Okay, and what you ideally want to do is, for one, you want to shift it in a way where it's actually overlapping with what the enemies do. Okay, and the way you do that is just by making sure that you win fights with your team. Okay, so making sure that the timing is correct. But most importantly, and actually let me redraw this so it's a little bit easier to read. Whoop. There we go. Okay, so again, we want to, if both teams are at equal skill, this is going to look, this is going to overlap essentially. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Now what you need to do as Tracer, okay, as Tracer, and I'm gonna draw this in blue, your peaks are actually a lot more frequent because you get your ultimates a lot more frequent. Okay, so you're like this really, really, really fast squiggly line because your ultimates charge so quickly. And you want to use it, okay, so that in those moments where your team is weak, okay, like in this situation, for example, where you're going to give them the advantage. Okay, and what that ends up doing is it's going to push the enemy ult economy back. Okay, and now what does that mean? Okay, that means that you shifted everything in your favor, because all of a sudden, if your team has their ultimates, the enemies won't have their ultimates, which is basically a free win. Okay, and then in situations where the enemies have their ultimates and your teammates don't have their ultimates, that's when you need to use your ultimate in order to kind of push it up again. Okay, and that way, so if you do all of that, and again, I know this sounds like very, very complicated, but if I would have to summarize it, okay, the way that it would end up looking like is, if I would again, draw the enemy thing like this, okay, the way that it would end up looking like is that during these peak areas, you actually wouldn't have, a fight at all, okay, because during those areas you would just wait, okay, and you could actually, go in with an advantage, okay. And then during these sections, okay, this section right here, this very, very small section, where the enemy team is actually stronger than your team, that's where you would use your ultimate. Okay, so in conclusion, I know that sounded very, very complicated, and I probably could have explained that better, but in conclusion, you want to use your ultimate when your team is at its weakest.
Yeah.
Okay? That's kind of your job as Tracer. And it's the same with other ultimates as well that charge very quickly. Junkrat is a great example. Okay? Where Junkrat's ultimate can single-handedly win you team fights. So you want to use Junkrat ultimates, for example, to win, these kinds of engagements. Okay, but then you have other ultimates as well, like Graviton Surge, where it's actually the opposite, where Graviton Surge is less about, looking for opportunities where your team is weak, okay, because most of the time, in order to get value out of a Graviton Surge, especially in higher ranks, you need to combo that Graviton Surge with other teammates. But if your teammates have their ultimates, that means that your team is currently very strong in terms of ultimate economy. Okay, and that's why Zarya's Graviton Surge is an ultimate that you wouldn't use in these troughs. It's an ultimate that you would save for these moments where your team is relatively strong and you want to overwhelm the enemy team. And the way you do that is by engaging before the enemy team. If you know that your team has a lot of ultimates and the enemy team has a lot of ultimates, the way you win that fight is by engaging first. The team that engages first wins. Okay, and that's why when you watch pro gameplay, what you'll see is sometimes Zarya players, they don't stick with their team. What they do is they lurk around a corner, okay, let the enemy team engage past them, like just walk past them, and then ult them. Okay, so that they 100% have, the first engagement. Obviously, eventually enemies are going to check corners, they're not going to fall for it every time, but you would be surprised at how often it actually works. Okay.
So if I have my ulti and then my team has ultis as well, and I feel like the other team also has, so I should just run and stick someone and try to shift the fight before it starts.
Exactly. You want to try and win the fight before it even starts. Okay. You want to, basically, that's honestly it, to be honest. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Okay. Well, not right now. Well, I hope we get the opportunity to see the other VOD.
You mean your
later session?
What's it face? Oh, the Volskaya VOD. Volskaya is actually very interesting because on 2CP this entire ult economy is very important, where you need to make sure that if the enemy team, like if you're defending the second point on 2CP, for example, and you have your ultimate, it's basically always worth it to play very, very aggressively, because if you play defensively, the enemies are going to run in, you're going to lose. Okay. Obviously, that's bad. So, now in conclusion to this VOD, so all of the things that I've mentioned, some other things that I didn't mention. So, mechanically, you're fine. Your mechanics weren't the best, okay?
Yeah, of course.
But
I improved a lot from the last one.
Fair point. So, mechanics aren't the problem. They can always be better, but that's not really what's holding you back. Blink cooldown management was a little bit iffy. Like your blinks, as I mentioned, you very often took very inefficient routes and you wasted a lot of blinks during them, which was pretty bad. Your recall usage, I think the main problem with your recall usage was just that you didn't know all of the matchups and you didn't really know the entire concept of when your team is ahead. Like once you start learning, how the soldier matchup works, or once you start learning how to stop skirmishing on the point and just, get behind the first point into a good position. Once you do that, that's probably going to fix your recalls anyways. Like with the current playstyle you have, it's basically impossible to have, really good recalls. Okay, because you don't put yourself into positions where you can do good recalls. Other than that, basically everything I've mentioned. Okay, so ult usage, making sure that you get behind the enemy team, target priority, and most importantly, you need to learn how to play when there's just no one you can kill. Okay, if there's a McCree, if there's a Zenyatta, go for them, kill them, no problem. Okay, and obviously as your mechanics improve, more targets become killable to you. But right now, you need to just be honest with yourself. You need to realize, okay, these are the targets that I can kill. These are the targets I can't kill. I just need to live with them. Okay, did you take notes?
Yeah.
Can you send me those notes?
Yeah, I will. But they're in Portuguese again.
Well, whatever, send them to me anyways. I know Portuguese. Que habla español. Sí.
Watch out if you put this on YouTube. People are gonna rage on you.
I mean, actually they can't. Because my grandparents, they actually live in Spain. Okay. So, man, you need to take more notes. You really
Yeah,
need to
like
take
my
more notes,
notes are
man.
very concise, but I get the whole.
Well, to be fair, since I recorded this, you can just watch it back later, so it's not really a problem.
Yeah,
Okay, so let me.
and you'll
Mhm.
see that I tried to do the homework, so you know that
That's
I
true.
paid attention.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so, um, okay, something about you shouldn't force playstyles.
Yeah.
Um, okay, soldier biotic bait. Okay, uh, something with tracer ult economy. I have no idea. What did you write down? Can you translate?
Yeah, so it's like questions. So I should assassinate or charge my ult is the first one.
Okay.
And then don't force the playstyle, so I should choose between the playstyles according to the enemy team.
Mm-hmm.
And position first, think later, and then watch out for the stairs.
Stairs are important. True.
The soldier biotic bait is like on the matchup of the soldier, and then the tracer ultimate shifts the economy, the ult's economy.
Okay.
So I should always look out for that.
Okay. Perfect. So you don't have any questions?
Not right now. I will have when I try to put this in practice, and I'll come back to you, but not right now.
Okay. Well, in that case, I wish you the best of luck, my dude. Okay.
Thank you.